I've mentioned this numerous times, but I really feel like now this is the time to do so. I took some time to evaluate the type of content that I really want to produce, and what like Theology Nights means to me and to the viewers and the listeners and things like that. And so with that being said, I am doing a daily podcast or a daily video. I have decided that I am moving more in that direction because that's what I wanted to do from the beginning of when I first started Theology Nights. Now, with the podcast, with the video, it might be 3 minutes long. It might be 10 minutes long. It might be 30 minutes long. But my conviction has become very strong that I want to provide daily audio or video. That's where I feel that I'm called to. That's really the reason why I started this site 9 months ago. And there's always something to talk about. And what we're going to talk about is justification by faith alone. And the question was, if this is the right doctrine, I believe it to be so, this person also believes it to be so, then why doesn't everyone teach this? And now, let me say this. I'm not going to specifically call the name out because that'll just create a whole bunch of different conversations. I feel that we're going to know what we're talking about anyways. But I believe we know who this question is referring to. But let's talk for a moment about justification by faith alone and why it is the proper doctrine, okay? So in my opinion, and I believe that a lot of people would agree with this, I believe that justification by faith alone is what separates true biblical Christianity. And I mean that statement very strongly. True biblical Christianity. Not this modernized American evangelical mainstream sort of teaching, quote unquote, Christianity. I'm talking about biblical Christianity. The justification by faith alone separates biblical Christianity from other branches of this so-called Christianity and other religions, okay? Because in all of these other religions, these branches of Christianity, so-called Christianity, man is just simply trying to get his way to God. He is just simply trying to earn his good favor. He is trying to earn right standing. He is just simply trying to say to God, listen, this is what I can do in order to show you that I am worthy or I am approved or any other, exalt myself kind of a word. But the cool thing, I hate to use cool, it's such a wrong word, but the great thing about justification is it's instant. Like think about that. We are declared justified, okay? Instantly. We are, God just pronounces it to us. There's not any secondary justification work. There's not any future justification work. We are justified immediately. Now, don't confuse justification with sanctification because those are going to be two different things. But from the standpoint of you standing before a holy God, you are declared justified immediately. There's nothing you can do to earn it. There's nothing you can do to present to God as a means of saying, justify me based upon this. It's such a beautiful doctrine. How do I make sure my passions are fixed on Christ? Let me explain. I have all of these interests, and with the internet available at all times, I'm always interested in something. I'm always browsing. I feel like I waste a lot of time. And I want to use this drive to focus more on Christ. So this is the type of person, and I'm sure we can all relate to this, but this is the type of person who has the drive inside of them to learn, or to study, or to, there's something inside of them. Okay, so they want to change their passions from not the things of Christ to the statement that I saw in 2 Corinthians, I think it's 11, but total devotion to Christ, because that's really our aim as a follower of Christ, and so we have so many things that are fighting for our attention. Really, we have passions and we have interests and we have devices and we have distractions and we have notifications, we have screens, we have all this stuff going on. How do we maintain our devotion to Christ? Here's a big step, okay? And this is simple stuff. This is really not that hard. I mean, it is hard to make the changes, but the changes themselves, they're really not that hard. So let's talk about this. Here, you make these things Christ-centered. Like, Instead of binge watching Netflix, create sermon lists on YouTube and watch that instead. Because, like, here's the thing: you're not just gonna cold turkey remove yourself from watching stuff like that. So don't say, like, I'm just getting rid of all my devices, I'm turning everything off, because you're gonna end up setting yourself up for failure. Like, just change what you're doing when you're using those devices. So if you need to delete Netflix and only use YouTube, and create playlists of sermons that you want to watch. And anytime you get the urge to go watch Netflix, go watch sermons. It's wrong when people who are truly and completely devoted to Christ are looked upon as weird or extreme. Like, I have people tell me that people who read the Bible on a consistent basis are weird Christians. Honestly, I've had conversations with people before, and we've talked about Bible reading, and we've talked about studying and things like that. And the person made the comment, well, those types of Christians are just weird. And it seems, but it's true. Like, people think that. Like, people think if you are in the Bible every day, that you're weird and that it's extreme. Okay. What's some other things you could do? Download biblical apps. Watch sermons. Listen to sermons on your drive to and from work. Make specific time in your day for scripture reading and prayer. Listen, I'll be bold to say that the problem is not lack of time, okay? And the reason why I can say this is take me up on this challenge, okay? As busy as we all are, we can find 15 to 30 minutes every single day to spend with Christ. It's the lack of desire to do those things, I really think. Be the fire starter, as we will. Francis Chan, yes or no? So if you don't understand why this question is asked, let me do this. But let me also say this first. My answer on Francis Chan is probably going to be much different than most, I can assume. But for the sake of myself and my wife and I, and anybody that God has allowed me to shepherd, I have to evaluate where I think he is right now. So Chan is not a guy that I think we should be listening to. Just to put it honest, I don't. And let me also say this, because I know there's going to be a rebuttal that somebody's going to say, well, does that mean that anybody who ever speaks at a conference, does that mean we have to make sure that person isn't sharing the stage with somebody that they shouldn't share the stage with, or somebody who teaches wrong theology? So if I like so-and-so, do I have to watch every one of their conferences or know where they're speaking at all times? In a sense, I am saying that. Listen, if you have solid teachers in your life, and I'm talking about your local pastor, I'm talking about the people that your authors, those that you read, any of those people, if they are solid teachers, you don't have to worry about this being an issue. Trust me, it's plain and simple. It's good to know, though, and this is why. Francis Chan is a great example, and so that's why I want to talk about him, because his name comes up all the time. But this is what happened, okay? So on February 11th, the Gospel Coalition posted a video by Francis Chan. He was speaking about what's wrong with the prosperity gospel. And listen, I wept. I was so happy, because if there is something that gets me fired up, it's the prosperity gospel. This word of faith, it's bad. It is just so bad. We are, I'm not going to rant. But they posted a video. Francis Chan came out and said how bad it was, and we need to renounce it. We need to get rid of it. It was excellent. It was so good. And I was so happy the Gospel Coalition did this. But then the problem was, only a few weeks later, literally last week, I think it was, Francis Chan spoke at a conference including the likes of, get this, Benny Hinn, Todd White, Bill Johnson, Heidi Baker, and more. It doesn't take much exposition of those names to know what's going on here. This is the issue, okay? And this is where I'll probably get some more pushback, because the issue, I don't think the issue is just simply sharing the stage with a false teacher. And I can be bold enough to say that those guys are false teachers. They really are. There's not, and I'll talk about it here in a moment. But the issue is that like Francis Chan 2 weeks before this had spoke out against these types of preachers. He had spoken against the prosperity gospel. But then he's on stage with them, and he's calling them great men of God and that they're a gift to the church. That's confusing to people who trust Francis Chan. That's confusing because if you watched the video of the Gospel Coalition that he released, you would see that here is a man who is biblical and convicted to what Scripture says, and you would have to believe that he would renounce the prosperity gospel. These guys aren't just a little off in their teaching. They're completely false. You know, they are leading millions. I did it once a while ago where I added up the numbers of followers between Bill Johnson, Stephen Furtick, Bethel, that type of stuff. And it's millions. And I'm talking about just social media. I didn't even factor in what they get in their seats. I'm talking about just social media between Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and the views that they get on their sermons. And I mean, it's millions. Go to Google and type in top 10 pastors. Watch what comes up. Watch some of the stuff, biggest evangelical churches. Start Googling some stuff about Christianity and watch what happens. A couple of things are going to happen. One, you're going to go, okay, I'm starting to understand now. You'll get why I created a ministry specifically for the internet. Because like people think I'm joking. I'm not. Like the movement of theology that's happening on the internet is atrocious. It is atrocious. That's how a lot of people are learning about Christianity. That's why there's no, like you could ask somebody what it means to be a Christian and get 3,000 different answers. Why is that? It's because you go to Google and you type in, what does it mean to be a Christian? The first 10 web pages are going to give you 10 different answers. And depending on what comes up, they're probably all going to be false. You want to watch a sermon. I'm going to go to Google. I'm going to type in Christian sermons. What's going to pop up? Not good stuff. That's why it's so important to study to show thyself approved, a worker who has no need to be ashamed, rightly handling the word of truth.